This is by far the biggest block you can have with the law of attraction. And that block is when you have a block within a block, meaning there's two layers to the block. A lot of the law of attraction teachings teaches to focus on the positive, right? Just keep on focusing on the positive, focus on the positive, focus on the positive. Okay. And by focusing on the positive, you're avoiding the negative. You're avoiding the blocks. You're avoiding the resistance. You're avoiding, feeling bad, or avoiding looking at your negative thoughts, or avoiding looking at your negative feelings. And what we don't realize is all of these negative feelings, negative emotions, negative behaviors, belief systems are actually pulling you back from being positive. You're having to force yourself to be positive. You have to consciously be positive. But what if you just reprogrammed the negative stuff so that you can experience the positive stuff? So a block within a block is when, okay, you're focused on the positive and you don't even want to face the negative blocks that you have. All right, you're not even looking into it. You believe that you don't have any negative blocks. You don't have any negative things, right? And this can be a big detriment to your success. And so sometimes the shadows that we have or our blind spots need to be shown to us. And that's why it's so important to get coaching. All right. And I do offer coaching programs. There'll be a link in the description. You can get a free energy reading, a manifestation diagnosis session. And there's a free playlist below as well on how to raise your vibration. And if you would like to support this channel, please just give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below. I really do appreciate you sharing, commenting. It really supports the channel. Now, I used to have this block of fear, right? I was afraid to do something specific. And that was around the area of communication and speaking with people. I was afraid to walk up to people, talk to them, have a conversation. And, I had social anxiety. Okay. But for some reason, I couldn't overcome it. I couldn't get rid of this block, and sometimes I would just try and force myself. I remember when I was living in Thailand, back in 2010, I traveled to Thailand and actually manifested that trip, by the way. You can manifest so much in your life. I manifested a trip to Thailand for 6 months completely free, and so I manifested this into my life. And I wanted to work on my social skills. And this was around the time I had my spiritual awakening as well. So I wanted to work on my social, and I found myself, going to these, gatherings, and I was like super nervous, anxiety, my palms were sweaty. And, no matter how much I tried to manifest better communication, no matter how much I tried to manifest more confidence, I couldn't do it. Okay. So I was trying to overcome the block of social anxiety and feeling fear around social anxiety. But what I didn't realize is there was another layer. There was another layer on top of it. I'm holding a citrine crystal right now. Usually I actually have this in my pocket when I'm creating video content for abundance. But I didn't realize that there was a block on top of the social anxiety. So I was afraid of feeling fear. Okay, I was afraid to feel the feeling of fear. So there was a block of feeling afraid to communicate, to meet someone, to walk up to someone and have a conversation. But also there was a fear of that fear. All right. So there was two layers to it. Okay. And a lot of people are afraid of fear. They got the fear of fear itself. Imagine that. You're being afraid of the feeling of fear, meaning you're not doing anything that's scary or, a little bit outside of your comfort zone or whatever it is. You're not going to go and do it because you're afraid of that feeling, of having that feeling of fear. So you're going to do everything to avoid it. Right? You literally, won't go in a room and speak to someone because you're afraid they might see you, or you're afraid to call up, the billing company to sort out something, or call your bank or whatever it is. You're afraid to, go out and meet someone new, or, go on a date or whatever it is, right? So it limits us in a big way. So this is just one area. Imagine like the area of money. Do we have blocks within blocks around money? Do we have blocks around the area of personal growth and becoming a greater version of ourselves? Do we have blocks around starting something that we're wanting to start, projects, goals, dreams? We want to realize that there's these blind spots that we have, right? There's these blind spots that we can't see. And that's why it's so important, again, to have a coach, to have someone to help you find out what is resisting you. And that's why I offer a manifestation diagnosis session, right? So that you can basically see exactly the things that are blocking you from achieving the result that you want in your life. You have to be, willing to look at your shadows. You have to be willing to look at, what's holding me back. You have to be willing to be brave enough to recognize that you're not in alignment with what you want to manifest. You have to be honest enough with yourself. And some people struggle with that. They have too much pride. They don't want to let their guard down, or they don't want to feel like there's something wrong with them, or they a part of them wants to grow, but the law of attraction teaches you got to be positive. Don't focus on the negative. And I disagree with this. I'm not saying to necessarily focus on the negative, but we need to use the negative in order to facilitate the positive. Okay, that's why we have yin and yang, right? We want to recognize our shadows, recognize our self-sabotage, recognize our procrastination, recognize that you feel stuck, recognize that you need help, recognize that you need support, recognize that you're not being the best version of yourself, recognize that you're got a habit of saying you're going to do something and never doing it. Recognizing that maybe there's a block around how much time I have. I'm just saying I don't have enough time to do X, and X, right? Or maybe that's a block within a block, right? So some people, that's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of people say, oh, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough energy. Sometimes there's a block within a block. I could have made the excuse when I first started my business years and years ago. This is over 10 years ago. I could have made the excuse that, I don't have enough time, because absolutely I did not have enough time. But I had to Alt, Control, Delete certain things out of my life. Not spending so much time doing social stuff, going out with my friends and partying, right? I had to work on figuring out how I can sleep faster. And what that basically means is, how can I get more REM sleep so I can sleep less, but still get the adequate amount of sleep that I need. I'm not recommending that you do that now, unless it's, you're in dire straits and you need to figure out something and you really want your dreams to happen. But also, I figured out how can I increase my energy levels? So I started drinking a bunch of green drinks, and that really helped me with my energy levels. Because caffeine just didn't do it for me. It doesn't resonate with me, my body. I had to manage my time better. I had to go part-time in my job. I found ways to make my dreams a reality. And so there might be a part of you feeling a little bit of anxiousness around you doing these kinds of things. Okay, and again, that's a block within a block. Right, that's resistance within resistance, and you want to acknowledge that, right, and not allow it to continue. Okay, so I woke up this morning and I had this block around being greater than I am now, being even greater, and so the belief system, I have this program called Get the Edge by Tony Robbins. And in that program, he has this morning routine. It's called the Hour of Power. And I noticed, even in the past, when I used to do it, I just started doing it again. But in the past, I used to get anxiety about doing it. I'm like, why am I getting anxiety around doing this morning routine? And I realized in that moment when I woke up, oh, it actually makes me feel great. Like, it actually makes me feel strong, alive, grateful, happy, fulfilled. It actually makes me feel more productive. It makes me feel like I have more energy. It makes me feel like I want to get more stuff done. So this one thing makes me feel great, but there's a part of me resisting doing it. It was a feeling in my chest and like sort of like a sickness feeling in my throat. As like, it's still kind of there. I shifted it, but it's some left. I'm gonna after this video, I'm gonna shift the rest of it. But there's a feeling of tightness around the heart chakra, and just like, you know, where that dip is in your throat, like there's like a feeling there. It's like a fear of being great. You know, that's that quote. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. I use the external reality to sort of reflect back to me what I need to work on, what I need to improve on. In this particular example, you know, I didn't want to be too great. And what was the feeling? The reason why I didn't want to be better than I am now is because a part of me didn't want to show up and make others feel bad about my consistency, about my productivity, about being too happy. But there was also a part of me that was fearful of feeling good about myself and being totally me. Because if I'm totally me, then other people might not love me. You know, I might lose love if I become too great. And so these are the things that a lot of people don't recognize when it comes to subconscious programs. So even I got a YouTube channel where I think like 6,000 subscribers. You know, I've built a previous YouTube channel up there. If you see my plaque, you know, I've helped a lot of people. I've helped people make 6 and 7 figure incomes. I've helped people find their soulmate, their twin flame. I've helped people manifest traveling, you know, manifesting money, you know, whatever. Like, I've helped people do a lot of stuff, and I've done a lot of manifestations myself. But yet, right, there's still more blocks that I have, more resistance, more this. And, you know, so I don't want to paint a picture that I'm, you know, perfect, right? And that, you know, I'm, you know, this influencer who's manifested this and that, or whatever, right? We all have our flaws, and we all need to work on growing and becoming greater versions of ourselves. But who would have known that there was another layer to my greatness? And so there's always layers, there's always levels. It's like playing Mario or Sonic the Hedgehog or, you know, whatever game, Tetris. There's always more and more and more levels to your being. And it's about deprogramming the ego and letting go and transmuting so it becomes more positive. And so I done my morning routine, you know, I went to the gym, I worked out, and, you know, I feel great. But there is still a little bit of resistance that I need to work on there. I can feel it right here. So you have to begin to acknowledge that there's a block within a block. You have to begin acknowledging that you're afraid of fear, right? You're afraid to feel fear. So there's a feeling of fear about something specific, but then you're also fearful about that fear. You're afraid to feel the fear. So you avoid the fear and you focus on something positive. And you entertain yourself with, you know, law of attraction videos. And you entertain yourself with distractions, you know, going on social media, looking at what everyone else is doing, right? Rather than working on what's going on within, right? Looking at your shadows, looking at your subconscious patterns, looking at your subconscious identity. So the first step is to really acknowledge. Once you acknowledge it, you actually diffuse it a little bit, okay? And it helps remove the block. Another thing that you can do is you can sort of feel the feeling and focus on the feeling and just give it compassionate love, and really just, dive deep into that feeling that you're feeling. And sometimes this helps completely dissolve it. All right. So, go out and do that. Start taking the steps to letting go and taking yourself, your greatness to the next level. And the thing is, when you start recognizing that you have shadows, rather than avoiding them and trying to be positive or whatever, you realize that, okay, this is a part of your vibration, right? When you don't acknowledge what's there, it doesn't mean the vibration doesn't exist. The vibration exists, right? These emotions exist, these thoughts exist. And by ignoring them and focusing on the positive doesn't get rid of them. Okay, it's always there. And so you stay resonating on a specific frequency. And when you can acknowledge the flaws or the negative aspects of self, or the feminine aspects of self, rather than focusing on the positive aspects of self. And I just want to be clear, it's not that feminine is negative as in bad, right? Because in actuality, if we look at the ions, negative ions are actually good for us, whereas positive ions are actually bad for us, right? We'll get positive ions from things like mobile devices, whereas if we get a Himalayan salt lamp, that releases negative ions, which is good for us. And you're thinking, why would something negative be good for us? Well, that's the way the universe works. Sometimes the negative is good for us. Sometimes it's something that we need to use to facilitate, growing. So if you want assistance in finding your blocks and figuring out what vibrational frequency that you actually resonate at, where you resonate at, and identifying your blocks around money, success, growing a business, procrastination, whatever it is, you need help in figuring out what it is, and you want to know what your blind spots are, then you can get a free energy reading and manifestation diagnosis session. The link will be in the description where you can get that free session and free energy reading. And check out this video on 3 blocks that held me back from success, and check out this unlisted playlist on how to raise your vibration in the right way. And remember to keep learning, keep growing, keep expanding, and I'll speak to you soon. Peace.